Welcome to the Chronically Online podcast. My name is George, and this is
James.
Nice. And we are going to be talking about a few different topics: memes, marketing, and general pop culture nerdiness from the perspective of two people who work professionally in marketing. Social media specifically, some digital marketing, a bit of print-based marketing, lots of different marketing. But basically, we're looking at pop culture and stuff like that from the perspective of people who work in marketing, basically.
Yeah, think of this as like inside sports or ESPN coverage for memes and marketing, right? This is how we're gonna treat the post game, right? So it's gonna be a fun experience in explaining memes to all you oldies out there and all the boomers that don't quite get it.
Yeah, I'm scared to say that because we are becoming oldies. You know, if you look at memes,
I'm
like
certified unk status already.
Yeah, that's
like if I step onto a basketball court, unk pass.
Yeah.
Like, oh god damn. Like, as the kids would say, I'm cooked. And we'll get into this. We'll explain it all. Don't worry, we're not going to leave you behind.
That's it.
Because we're chronically online.
Yeah,
It rhymes.
oh my god,
It rhymes.
that was a good start.
It was good. It was a good segue.
That was a good segue. So who the hell are we then? So like I said, my name is George, and my history is messing around with cameras when I was a teenager, making stupid little films with my friends with guns and toy swords and stuff like that. Did a degree in TV and video production at Southampton Solent. And then after doing that, went into more kind of videography based, still marketing projects and jobs. So worked for a charity. I was managing a little team at a charity of marketers, gone to a few other different things, did some high-end luxury marketing projects as well. I was doing some videography there, but also much wider marketing, blog-based, much more inbound marketing, as they call it. So getting your brand at a position where people will naturally find it to solve a problem. And that's what I was doing for high-end luxury jewelry, like I said. Quite a few pieces there I was quite proud of. So even now, one of the pieces I'm proud of is if you search for some jewelry terms anywhere on the planet, this tiny little Winchester family-run jeweler, the one that I was managing, appears top of the search results on YouTube. So I'm still quite proud of that project. So it's very much digital marketing and solving people's problems that I was working on there. Then after that, agency work. So working with and for the legend James Gale at a company called Shogun. And that was looking after the kind of general creative running of our output for social media marketing. And since then, now I'm working at a company that's recruitment, financial recruitment, and looking after all of their marketing, which is a much, much wider marketing sphere as well. Print and event planning, influencers as well, with all the social media bells and whistles. But that's a very, very quick look at my professional history.
An extremely modest view as well, folks. Like this guy also forgot to mention he has a YouTube channel with over 10,000 subscribers in his spare time because he just hustled like that 24/7. Okay. And you know, he's created some incredible stuff, and building YouTube channels is a good thing you're very good at. Hence why we're on the show together, mate.
Yeah.
So my background's a little different. I feel like, you know, George has some serious pedigree and I'm a bit more scrappy in my upbringing. So I studied advertising at university. So I actually did the degree that somehow ended up in, which is rare these days. And then started immediately client side. Didn't like that so much, but it was for a big brand. Then moved to various different agencies. Was fairly frustrated with the experience. Didn't quite like it very much. Very ADHD brain. So then I decided to just jump. Screw it. I'm just going to jump straight into starting my own thing. Hence, Shogun Social was born, an agency designed to help businesses post more like content creators to really bring them into a realm of proper authenticity online, not it being a buzzword. And soon to be launching a new agency that tackles specifically B2B, B2E, and public sector organizations and social media for the underserved, I think is the correct term for it. So very much on the kind of businessy entrepreneurial side, worked with some incredible brands, but always just been glued to my phone, as most people in my generation, but made a career out of it somehow. And that's kind of what this whole thing is about, because we see stuff every day that we know brands could take such big advantage of, but they never really get around to doing it, or they don't have the infrastructure to adapt to it quickly enough. And we just want to have a platform to talk about it on a regular basis, to actually explain why this stuff works. Because we had a discussion the other day about the internet just being a massive in-joke. And if you missed one day, you might as well have missed it all, because it is just a pain in the ass to backtrack and figure things out. And some memes that were older have reached such a point of cultural significance that they've just devolved into shapes and abstract art at this point, that you could probably do an entire thesis on the evolution of the lost meme or Saddam Hussein's hiding place, which we always have probably have a segment for on the episode. And if you don't get any of that, stick around, because that's exactly why we're here.
I saw exactly that with Lost. As someone, the video was something like, "Hey guys, I never noticed this about the song Africa by Toto," and it went duh, 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 and they just drew Lost duh, 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 like that, and I was like, yeah.
And to start that explanation off, this is what we're gonna have to do a lot in this podcast. Lost was it was an internet comic meme, which was fairly serious in the beginning, about a guy arriving late to the hospital and seeing his wife had had some kind of miscarriage, I think.
Yeah, right? It was, yeah. That's how it was. That's why it was born, because it was so serious.
And it was so serious. And of course, the internet being the internet decided to take the piss. And now it's kind of evolved into the shapes of the characters have ended up being the illustration of Loss, after it being on the internet for what must be at least 10 to 15 years old now.
Yeah.
Loss is
and
very
it
old
not
school.
Even the shape, it's like just a line.
Yeah, it's just and you have to have been there early doors, like probably like MSN, like at least era of the internet, to actually get what the hell was going on.
So dumb.
And so we're now at the point where I think it's probably at the first generations where we're starting to see the younger generations not understand previous memes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which hasn't happened before, because usually like you just assume young people get all memes.
Yeah.
But actually, it's a rare place to be where you can understand Skibbity Toilet and Loss all in one go.
Yeah.
And I'm already like laughing at the viewership of this, going, what did he just say?
Yeah. I love that.
But that's the fun part of the podcast, what we're here to explain, and we'll get into the memes. We thought we'd explain our background first, because otherwise it makes no sense of who these two geezers are talking about Skibbity Toilets and that. So
yeah, and it's the angle of not just memes, it's like memes from our perspective. Memes from the perspective of people who have worked in social media marketing. So we have literally created memes for clients, for their marketing, to help them indirectly get more sales, which is such a crazy concept.
Yeah.
But that's something that we're looking at. So initially, what we're going to look at is just a few of our favorite stuff we've noticed recently, I suppose, and trends. And then every episode, we're probably going to look at different memes as we go.
Yeah,
more recent
absolutely.
ones, more current ones.
And we pre-record a lot of these, so by the time a lot of them come round to being released, or you see a clip of this, there might be some that are a little bit on the older side, but that's fine. We're here to kind of retroactively explain why they work as a concept and how you could use them, so you can be ready for the next time round, even if you've missed the trend now. And that's what the kind of meme section is all about. And we're starting on more of kind of a general look at something quite new that's appeared in the marketplace. And it's kind of daily reels or daily TikTok channels.
Yeah.
Now, George, give me your best synopsis of what you've seen of those channels.
Sure, okay. I mean, the way that we're doing this now, there's no way to describe these little memes without it sounding ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
Stick with us now.
Yeah, butter dog.
Yeah, butter dog. Dog with the butter on it. Butter dog.
You know butter dog.
Of course I know butter dog.
Butter dog is one of my favourites, bro.
It's just pure brain rot. Again, another term that we'll explain for you folks. Brain rot.
It is ridiculous. But there's, as is the way with all of these daily reels channels, it's just called Butter Dog Daily. And what's fascinating from it, from a kind of, what's fascinating about it from a marketing perspective, is that you look at the metrics of them. You look at the metrics of Butter Dog posted 2 days ago versus 3 days ago versus 4 days ago versus 5, and you see they don't all have the same views.
Yep.
They have one of them will have 10K, one of them will have 1K, one of them will have 50K, but it's the same video.
Yeah,
it's the exact same video posted every day. Sometimes it shoots up, sometimes it doesn't.
Yep.
And from a marketing point of view, it's fascinating because it basically demonstrates that, I mean, A, it's not an exact science, but B, posting on different days will make a difference. Sometimes the algorithm will just pick something up and share it to the different people. Sometimes it won't. You can post the exact same video every single day, and sometimes it will hit and sometimes it won't.
And grow huge followers as well.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to the nature of... I'm kind of just referring to them as infinite video feeds now. So there is a TikTok or Reel style feed in everything: LinkedIn, Pinterest, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, even Twitter. When you click on a video, it's still an infinite feed after that. I'm not sure you can actually really escape it. I mean, even Reddit, I think when you click on a video, you can scroll infinitely. So there's kind of no getting away from it, although certain platforms will have their own, like, you don't kind of scroll infinite views on Reddit the same way you would on YouTube Shorts or Instagram or something like that. But what it needs to show brands is you need to repeat yourself on an almost daily basis.
Sure.
And it's not going to hurt you whatsoever. If anything, all it does is increases these chances of an important message getting out to the right person at the right time. You need to look at Reels as a methodology to reach new customers every single time. Yeah. And it's so many companies get caught in that assumptive content creation where they'll make something that, you know, they've said it 3 times already in the past month. They're like, oh, we can't say something like that again. And now, you know, no one knows what the hell you're talking about out of context if you have posted something. Yeah. So repeat yourself an ungodly amount.
Yeah.
Post the same clip 5 times in a month. No one's going to care, and your core audience won't see it because socials change like that.
Yeah. Yeah. A good example of this, again, is not necessarily daily channels, but it's Instagram account that I love, which is just like shit posting basically.
Yeah, boy.
But they'll post the same video maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Like one, like over like 3 days, not bloody every single day for like a month, but just, and you can see those 2 exactly the same, but they've got
so the visuals for those listening are, one's got 85,000 views, the other one's got 190k views, and they were posted a day apart.
Yeah, I think so.
Same as that video.
Exact video. Yeah.
And also for those listening, shit posting is just another term for posting stupid memes that is just referred to on the internet. That's it.
There's an absurdity to shit posting. Yeah, that's the key thing. It needs to be absurd. It needs to like break a rule or something.
And I think there's especially for modern memes now, there is it has almost become an art form. There is an element of absurdism in a lot of memes and how they work. Don't try and get it, because then you'll lose. That's the kind of the game. Yeah. It's a bit like the game where it's like, don't think about the game, now you've lost.
Yeah. Don't try and work it out.
No, because then you're just like, what? And it'll either click for you if you find random things hilarious, and if it doesn't, it just wasn't your meme, and you move on essentially. True. And you keep scrolling in the infinite void. Then that's we're all kind of stuck there. I think no matter what age range you are, you're either caught in a Facebook reel or you're caught in TikToks. Yep. And both generations are going, oh, I don't like the other one. It's just, I find the whole thing fascinating. But as a proof of concept, talk about the same thing every single day, every single week. It will never affect your core audience if it's on Reels. If you're posting like the same picture every day, for instance, that's more likely to be seen by a core audience if we're talking about a platform like Instagram. So that's something to think about.
Yeah, because plenty of the time, Reels or TikToks or YouTube Shorts, wherever, will be resurfacing months after posted. It's not necessarily a brand new thing. It's very tempting for some companies, some directors, some MDs to think, oh no, we can't say that message because, you know, that's out of date or something, or that will be out of date in a month. Well, the harsh reality is, just because you post something doesn't mean that your followers will even see it. Yeah. They might not see it for another 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever.
The thing that's been pulled as the most common large brand example is Curry's use of social, and how the tech company, tech sales company, I guess, what would you even store?
Retail.
That's it.
Tech retail.
And it looks like they just kind of randomly went crazy one day. And trust me, their brands have done that. Anyone who wants to see real crazy, look up Nutter Butter on TikTok. Now that's insane. That's absurdism to the max. But yeah, Curry's, I can tell, trusted their social team and social agency. And now they've been rewarded for it tenfold. Yeah. There is such a lack of understanding between the C-suite and the marketing social on the ground. Yeah. Social needs to become far more important and needs a seat at the table in these top level conversations. And you know, we're going to have to show one of these because
no, but it looks mental.
It is. So they've just gone for pure, like, I think that, so there was an era of the internet called deep fried memes.
Yeah.
This is, what would you say, that's what, 2016?
Yeah, I guess.
We're going to have to start creating elaborate timelines here for you guys at home, but like deep fried memes were like,
yeah, we can stop scrolling.
Were absolutely insane. There'd be like 5 filters on top of something.
Yeah, I love it.
It would be Lord Farquaad's face from Shrek, and it just said the letter E underneath.
And on Markiplier.
Yeah, like throw that up like that. That's what makes it funny, and it just doesn't Makes sense.
Yeah, it is crazy. Well, another one that we've spotted recently is the something core
Yes.
trend.
Yes. So this is another kind of example, kind of repetitive-ish content, but content that stays within a particular thing. So let's say if you can have generic overview core. So let's take happiness core or motivational core, and that is just stuff that you can post in and around a motivational setting, or happiness stuff to make you feel better, or self-help core, whatever it happens to be, right? It's kind of the new framing for, I'm not sure how with the previous iteration what that would have been. It probably would have just been phrased as, motivation,
Compilation.
or compilation.
Yeah, it's a
something,
compilation, basically.
something like that. But it's always this particular music track in the background that makes it core, and they just kind of supercut things together. And that's
go on.
it can be used in a more kind of serious sense, or in a piss take absurdist sense, where that you just be like, it'll be someone that makes you laugh. Like, I've got a saved a video on here of like Chris Eubanks saying some of his craziest. Would you like a sweetie? And it's just like Chris Eubanks core, right? That's.
I'm fairly certain there's going to be a DJ Khaled core.
Oh God, yeah.
But that's pretty much it. The way of thinking about it is, it's like it's a compilation of quotes or a person or a type of like feeling or something. And from a brand perspective, it could be used to kind of compile all of the things that speak about your brand message or something.
Yeah.
I mean, something that comes to mind, not necessarily a brand one, but the main example, just because I watched it the other day. You know the Da Vinci twins?
Yeah, Da Vinci.
I just watched
another one to explain.
Yeah, I love them, by the way.
They're
got the Voros
they're funny.
twins. Yeah, the Voros twins.
And they're wrestlers too, aren't they?
They are. Yeah, I love the Voros twins so much. They did Da Vinci Core. It was just like a video. What was so cool is that it was their opportunity to not just say, look how funny we are with our clips. What they did is they said, here's a clip from 15 years ago when they were like
and
younger.
they spliced those moments into the things that people have already seen.
So it's like a storytelling thing. That core meme is a way for a brand potentially to tell a story of their brand messaging. We started like this, went like this, went like this. And as long as you call it Curry's core, which is talking about curries, that could work.
It could, but I think one thing that's important to note about is that you have to have some kind of social input to have it. A random B2B brand can't just go office core and it's a bunch of pictures of like Deborah's 50th birthday going like that. It won't,
I would love to see that.
That would probably take off for other reasons, right? But there's, I think with social, a lot of it is how much have you put in before you can take. And that's what a lot of brands miss in terms of gaining social equity requires you to put something in. It's like you can't just ruthlessly take or just spread messages because of it and think that's going to work, or just focus on paid and performance marketing and think you're going to actually gain any type of positive output from that. Brand trust is at an all-time low. Trust in anything that is official, politics, brands, it's all at the world's lowest time low ever. And we almost live in this strange post-truth era where nothing's true and everything is permitted. And if you're not just being as authentic as your brand can humanly be, you're the one being left behind right now. And it's a huge problem because it's like you need your own core base of something. You need your core. And that's what we need to get to. Yeah,
that trying to connect to their kind of main human fan base as well as something that another meme that we noticed the other day did. Big Daddy Mark.
Big Daddy Mark. It's time to play the game.
I love him, but he came up just doing loads of these random WWE voiceover
he sung all the theme songs first, didn't he? So there's just some guy sat in his house, singing songs terribly,
just right low angle camera.
Oh yeah, with the kind of Facebook dad selfie angle. And that's the core of it, isn't it? How many times am I going to say that today?
What works so well for the meme is that it was so versatile. It's just basically the text. It's time to play the game, and that can work in 1,000 scenarios.
Yeah,
and it worked for him. But what is interesting about that meme is he himself, Big Daddy Mark, is obviously a massive WWE fan because that's what he was quoting. WWE themselves got Big Daddy Mark to go to one of their wrestling shows, and they filmed him, perfectly. They were filming him at the exact right time. What do you know? But they were filming him in the crowd when Triple H came out.
Yep. Who's the theme song is the thing he's singing usually in the thing one.
Yeah, so he's singing. He finally gets to see this wrestler live, whose theme song he has been singing in the meme. And it just is very interesting from a kind of marketing perspective because we don't know exactly how much WWE were involved in that. You know, they saw Big Daddy Mark on their feed, everybody, their social, like people who like send out feelers.
Yep.
They got to see Big Daddy Mark spreading all over the world, singing one of their songs. Did they invite him to one of their shows? We don't know. Or did he just
You'd
turn
hope
up on their
so.
show? Yeah.
Yeah, because if not, they just got lucky that they
Yeah,
captured the
I mean, that's
opportunity.
crazy.
But so many brands miss out on the biggest opportunities. Like there was a whole time when I can't remember it was a large bank, and it was their theme song from their very old adverts that went round. And I can't remember if it was Lloyd's. It was the one that went ho 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 ho.
Yeah.
Right, everyone knows that. They were just that it immediately thing. But that went viral like probably 1 or 2 years ago on TikTok.
Okay.
That brand wasn't even considering TikTok at that point, and they could have ridden some serious momentum off the back of that.
Yeah, they could.
There was people having nostalgia waves about their old adverts they completely missed on.
Right.
Yeah, I've never seen such a missed shot in my life, and it's because so many brands are not set up to be reactive enough.
Especially banks.
Yeah,
Unless you're like one of
yeah.
the few modern banks who really nail it. But
Yeah.
the older banks don't.
Yeah, and there's just so much potential everywhere, and I think a lot of teams aren't set up for. Here's going to be an overly complicated term for something silly, a cognitive reframing of memes at speed. So it's just how many, like taking a thing from Big Daddy Mark, right? You'll have whole TikTok channels dedicated to green screening things. So you can find a green screen of Big Daddy Mark singing, it's time to play the game. It's then your job as a brand or content creator to change the context of said thing to make it work for you.
Yeah.
And it can be done very, really well or super cringe.
Yeah.
Because it can be like, be something stupid like when you buy a new thing from us, it's time to play the game.
Yeah.
Wrong. Like it has to actually be funny and not trying to not be such an obvious overt attempt to get something from someone.
Yeah.
And
That's
again,
hard though, isn't it though?
it's
That's
hard to do, but and it's also you have to resist the temptation because you're as a marketer and especially on a B2B side, you're constantly forced into direct sell.
Yeah, that's true.
Constantly. It's a pressure that it feels like your job's on the line if you're not always doing always on sales thing. But
Almost cold calling.
yeah, and it doesn't work like that on social. You have to unlearn those habits. The more you actually avoid trying to sell and have fun with the community, the more positive outputs you get.
Yeah.
As long as you still stay on message and don't confuse your brand. So it's just that balance. But yeah, it's so interesting to see how many missed opportunities there are.
Yep. There's one dude who has been kind of like all over the place. I don't know how recent it is. I think I watched one of his appearances a while ago, but it's recently that I've been kind of like seeking him out because I actually learned his name.
Yeah.
Rory Sutherland. Who's
What a legend.
advertising specialist.
Yes.
And the term advertising, you know, it arguably it's kind of like the word marketing, I suppose. There is a kind of grey area-ness to
Yeah,
it.
there is now. There used to be a
Yeah.
huge distinction between the two. And because there are still ad agencies, and that's where Rory came from. I'm pretty sure it was Ogilvy. He was the top dog for, and Ogilvy is one of the like most OG advertising companies. Like think Mad Men for those who aren't familiar, like that type of situation. It makes me sound like an old head, but back when you had to be creative with your advertising, there was no digital ad tracking or like immediate ROI, Google ad optimization that you could do. You had to get someone to remember who you were.
Yeah, you can't tell exactly how many eyes saw your billboard.
Or take advantage of different marketing techniques, which is a lot of what Rory talks about.
Yeah.
The thing about his technique, though, is Rory wasn't as big as he is now. He has written some incredible books, but he was more of a celebrity within our verse.
Yeah.
He is now spread out way more to the general public. Right? He was on Diary of a CEO. He's been on other massive podcasts.
What was he on recently? Go on, yeah.
It was Diary of a CEO is the first one that comes to mind, but it's because of his utilization of podcast guest spots and his skill as a speaker. That is what's helped him spread out more often. And I think more kind of senior staff, C-suite, really need to take a step back and think about what their personal brand strategy is to improve their business output and just the message they're trying to get out in general. Because ultimately he's kicking ass and it's because he's getting these spots and getting the clips. The game now is just clip content exposure consistently, which builds subconscious trust over time with people.
Yeah.
And he probably does go on the podcast for different people and say the same thing. Again,
He does.
like Gary Vee's been doing for like 10 plus years.
Yeah. Something I noticed about Rory Sutherland is he does say No, not to discount him, but he does say like the same kind of scripted sentence.
Yeah, because
The exact-
he'll have
he
his,
knows it works.
he'll have his highlights, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It's like anyone doing a book tour. It's like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like they'll need to hit on the highlights of said book to draw people in, something like that. Because
Yeah.
it might be why he's actually doing the tour now. I mean,
Yeah.
Boris Johnson was on Diary of a CEO the other day, plugging his book.
Right.
Like the US election, which we're recording it the day after this episode,
Yeah.
could have been decided by Joe Rogan episodes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, who knows?
seriously, and it's like it's still under. I think hopefully such a worldwide event like this being dictated by new media can show the power
Yeah,
of it.
I reckon.
But because there's such distrust in old school media, once you go on these different places, you build brand equity over time in many different places. It's very similar to like when you see evidence of something being true in multiple different places, and in the normal place, okay, I can trust that thing.
Yep, you're right. I know that with Rory Sutherland specifically, yeah, I saw one recently of a YouTube channel called Help Bank, where it was only a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Whereas before, the only way that Rory would be popping up is on these random clips of his like TED Talks.
Yeah, it'll
where
be
he's on
TED
a stage.
Talks. It'll be when someone films a lecture at university,
Yeah,
stuff
absolutely.
like that. And
Which
I assume
isn't like, it's not direct, specific, okay, let's create new media. Like, no,
Yeah.
he's there doing a talk. He's there doing a lecture. He's
Yeah.
not thinking necessarily of like the clips. He's doing a lecture.
And I seriously sit there and think about how many industries have their Rory Sutherland
Yeah.
that you will find tiny, like not tiny, but like you'll find these lectures on random parts of YouTube channels. I mean, hell, that's how Jordan Peterson got his start, right?
Yeah.
Love him or hate him, started just seeing random recordings of lectures on Thingy, and now he's started the podcast circuit. Before you know it, he's red pill top dog. So it's just like, that is how you gain momentum in today's game. And not everyone will want to play the celebrity game, quote unquote. That's not the point. It's more about building positive social equity in whatever you're trying to do as a business owner or a C-suite, or even someone who's trying to push your own career forward. It's about breaking out of the box to go, oh, they do that, I don't.
Yeah.
That does not exist anymore. I repeat, it does not exist anymore. Yeah. You are the same as Rory, as Stephen Bartlett, or as Boris Johnson. I don't care. All you need is one of these. You got one of these, you're in the game.
Yeah.
Get in the game.
I saw a tweet of from Lana Wachowski, one of the writers of The Matrix.
Ooh.
And it's not like a big tweet or anything. It's just funny. Like someone asked Lana, "What do you think about Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro and stuff using the phrase red pill?" And Lana replied, "Go fuck yourself," because they've taken Lana's like awesome literature phrase from The Matrix, red pilling, and they've turned it into like this horrible
and if
thing.
that's not just an allegory for the internet, like what is, like certain things will just catch fire, and there's kind of nothing you can do to change that classification of things now. It will just take off. And like that kind of, it's probably a section for a whole nother episode, but falling into different sides of the internet and being algorithmically aware, it's like a whole new thing you have to think about now.
If you're aware, then it becomes really interesting,
wh-
especially from our point of view as marketers.
Yes.
We go, oh, I see, I clicked on a couple of those pieces of content. That's why I, as a customer, am being fed all these. And you've got to be aware of it.
Like for anyone who's never done it, it's just a small exercise. Have a look at whether you use Facebook Reels or Instagram more often. Take a look at the type of content that appears in your feed right now and think about, what did I interact with to get it to be more of this?
Yeah.
Because this is what our algorithms will do. All it wants to do is feed us more of the things we like. So if you watch a video for over 3 seconds, it's going to count that as a positive indicator. If you like it in the first 3 seconds, it'll be a positive indicator. If you share it, save it, any action you may take or even not take, if you just leave it running, the algorithm will take that as they probably want a bit more of that.
Yeah.
So being algorithmically aware and breaking out of these bubbles is one of the most important things to look at if you don't want to be stuck in an echo chamber of the same thing anymore.
It is.
And so many people don't even understand that that's what's going on. It's not to say that, oh, these idiots don't know what's going on. It's more of like, we know how these things actually are. We're obviously reading blogs all the time. Sometimes it's TikTok especially quite open with how their algorithm works. Okay. So you have to actively then train your own algorithms. Hold on your screen, press not interested, make sure to swipe off of things quickly enough. Don't give it the engagement if you don't want it. Just so you can break out and see something else, because then you actually might get served different things.
Yeah, sometimes I'm scared of like, oh God, if I watched this for like 2 seconds too long, shit, they're going to give me those.
Yeah, like you realise, how did I end up on this side of the internet?
Yeah.
And sometimes you get served random things, you're like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like you're going on a journey in these big feeds. And as long as you're aware, you can do something about it. If you're not, you just think that's what everyone else is seeing. And I think that's what is leading to probably this societal polarization at the moment.
Oh, what? You haven't heard about this?
Yeah.
I've seen it. Yeah, boy, yeah.
Yeah.
Just because you've seen it all over the place means nothing. It's because
the water turning the frogs gay. You ain't seen that? Like, that's that's like our whole thing. So that awareness is important. I think it's going to be something that becomes more and more normalized.
Yeah.
And again, another reason why we're here to help people become algorithmically aware, and companies as well, so they can figure it out. Because are you training your company accounts to see the right content so you can adapt to the right trends?
It is.
Like, how much time do your staff spend scrolling through your account, or do you just post through your account and then never look at it?
Yeah.
Like, it's important so your stuff ends up on the same side of the internet. It's vital. It really is.
Yep. No, absolutely. We are also humans ourselves, because
sometimes
we're not just these brains that like make marketing pieces. We also like our own random shit, like random nerdy shit. Like, for example, at the moment, I can't stop watching Warhammer 40k.
Yes.
Can't stop it. I can't stop watching it. My YouTube Shorts algorithm, which apparently, according to YouTube themselves, is a totally different algorithm to their main feed.
Yeah, they've custom crafted one.
Yeah, so like no matter what you watch on main YouTube, apparently it's completely different to what YouTube Shorts is, but whatever. But YouTube 40k, I cannot stop watching it. Something that I'm loving as well is just basically the unlimited lore of it. That's why I love it. It's like Lord of the Rings, but they did the kind of like 3 main films, whatever. So you feel like, oh, those 3 films are the central thing. With Warhammer 40k, there isn't really a central. It's like the video game and then the novels, and then
the video games are few and far between compared to the novels. Like,
true, yeah.
I'm not even sure if we even have time to even explain the beginning origins of Warhammer.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't even know all of it. Like, there's so much of it. I know the basics, but
I know it from the human point of view. So,
right.
the whole story revolves around humanity's goal to conquer the universe and the stars, right? All following the God Emperor of mankind. That's like he's the Don, he's the dude.
It is meant to you're right, because I want to now
he's a
explain
Jesus
everything
allegory
about
here.
it. Yeah, I want to explain about like the Emperor and his throne and sacrifice.
Oh yeah, and the golden throne. But like that's later on post Horus Heresy, right? This is I'm talking about before the Horus Heresy. These are two very different, because before 40k it was 30k, and then before that it was something else. So it's gone through different iterations what it's even called.
Okay.
So there is at least,
I didn't know that.
because I found out, as a fun fact, before I played Warhammer for the first time, even the game for the first time, because this is how we'll get into it, the PlayStation game they released, and we could talk more about that. My parents had a board game called Space Crusaders, where they played a very, very early version of what is now Warhammer 40k. They painted their Space Marines, everything, and they were doing that in the 90s before I was even a thought in anyone's mind.
Was that official Games Workshop
It was
product?
official Games
really?
Workshop,
That's the official origin
and it was just
of Warhammer.
like, it was just on the floor in my front room. Yeah. And then my mum and dad showed me, got it out. I was like, oh yeah, we did this. And then you got your little board and you move around. Exact same game, tabletop. And that's how long it's been going. Right. It's such a storied franchise, but it's been so niche for so long until games like Space Marines 2 comes out and breaks it into the mainstream. And it's been so important for many reasons. But the reason Space Marines is so popular, along with just being badass and part of that, that whole like lore, is the fact that it's a game that took you back to when games felt better, because a lot of microtransactions, like always like live server games, things like that, it felt very different. Where Space Marines came out and went, here's your campaign, there's your multiplayer, there's a separate operations mode, there's no fancy ass transactions, it's not online all the time. Here's a game that you pay for and you get your 3 things. That used to be normal back in the Xbox 360 days. Now it's completely rare now. So that took the internet by storm and got thousands, millions of people into Warhammer.
Yeah,
all because of a good product.
There are a few games that did that over the past couple of years, and they've smashed.
And they're just heralded for it. And I think again, it's another thing to remind brands and gaming companies that focus back on your people. Like, tapping into nostalgia isn't just uploading a character or something that people used to play. It's the entire game itself and how it made people feel. It's the first game I played co-op with my friend, who I played all the Gears of War games with.
Nice. And it's so similar to Gears of War.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's good. It really kind of like harkened back to a lot of things.
Yeah, we're another episode, let's talk about Assassin's Creed Shadows as well, because they didn't do that. They tried to
and I haven't
pander,
played,
and it didn't work.
When is it out?
It was going to be out like November.
They delayed it.
They delayed it until at least January because of the screw up.
They've had so much controversy around it. This is the Assassin. I'm surprised they haven't run into that problem earlier, because Assassin's Creed always tried to weave in historically accurate characters, around their games,
Yeah.
but you've never played as a historical character, and I think this is where we're getting into trouble about it. And what is diversity washing and what is authentic.
Sure. Yeah. Chat for another episode.
100%, because as you can tell, these episodes are going to go on for ages, especially when we get to the nerdy sections. But I hope that helped in general, because there's so much to explain. It's the internet in general, so there's going to be many an episode.
Well, with Warhammer, I mean, it's so. It kind of welcomes everyone's individual stories as well, from what I can tell, because there are so many novelists, I mean, people who like
different takes on different factions. And
looking back on, I suppose, Marvel and DC, it's this a similar kind of thing where an individual artist will take their own character and run with it. I think Warhammer 40k is a similar kind of thing, and we're looking maybe to a Warhammer 40k TV show with Henry Cavill, but who knows if that's going to happen or not. But that could be fascinating. That would be another like central thing, like. Our Lord of the Rings world has its movies and stuff.
I wasn't exactly happy with the Rings of Power season 2.
You know what? I wasn't happy with season 1. I didn't finish it. I know that's crazy, but
it was very slow.
It was
and
slow.
I hope they were building something good, but then they kind of did a Game of Thrones at the end and rushed it in season 2. I feel like I haven't seen it all either. I've kind of heard through the grapevine for a lot of this stuff, but there's just so much they didn't stay accurate to the books for, which just didn't wound people up. But Lord of the Rings didn't either entirely, because elves aren't even really supposed to look human. Like they're supposed to look ethereal and almost alien. Niche reference, but Star Wars. What's the second? Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
The not Geonosians. The aliens that made the clones, really long necks, like very old school alien looking like. That's probably more similar to how elves are supposed to look in the Tolkien novels. So what they did was they just kind of made glowy humans. It felt a bit more ethereal.
Yeah, but even then
they just whacked ears on anyone.
Yeah, they did.
And I'm just like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's not cool.
And I've also read, I mean, I haven't actually read the book, so I can't say shit. But I think, is this right, in the books, there aren't actually goblins? It's something like there's Uruk-hai and orcs. Yeah. And Peter Jackson made up goblins for the film or something like that.
Is it The Hobbit the goblins were in?
It's the main films as well. Yeah, the goblins are the main kind of like enemy in the mines of Moria in the first film.
Oh, yeah.
When they're running down the wooden.
The thing is, because Peter Jackson had to change a lot, but it's a beloved franchise because it felt that the spirit felt true to it.
Yeah. I mean, I had no idea. I was like,
you can tell Rings of Power feels way too disconnected.
It does,
and a big budget does not save a franchise.
No, if you can feel the big budget, you watch it and go, Jesus Christ, that's got Amazon money.
And then
behind
you go,
it.
I wish that was spent on other stuff.
Yeah, but no, they spent so much money on their bloody slow motion camera. So there's this really random shot of Galadriel like on her horse, like really happily smiling while she's like. It was so weird. I did not like season 1 at all.
Can't you just hate it when you see the money being pissed away on something?
Yeah,
and just like you forgot the good story in the middle. But let us know what's your take on Rings of Power, because I need to know in the comments for this, because honestly. I'm somewhat of I pick up a lot of lore from YouTube videos. I haven't read all the novels. I've listened to some of the audiobooks. Like trying to listen to the Silmarillion is impossible.
Yeah, it's because we're chronically online.
It was so chronically online, but also Tolkien does not do a good job of explaining anything.
Okay.
He just goes, I whiffed the will from who did this and went to Alfheim, and you're like, what? And you just can't follow it. I can't keep up. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
No, that's fair. George R. R. Martin did that. That is some books I have read. I've read The Song of Ice and Fire, or most of them. And he honestly, like people who've read the books will know this, he will spend about 2 pages describing a flag.
Yeah.
Because there are so many flags and families, he'll spend about 2 pages just describing like the shape and colours of a flag. And it's so hard to follow.
No wonder his books are so thick.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. And he did 2 books that are taking place at the same time. Yeah, like that is mental, but amazing though.
I look back at Game of Thrones as like, if I just ignore the last season, I can look back very fondly at it.
Like we can't.
Again, another episode. We'll leave it to the last section of the next one.
We will. So if you like the sound of hearing another episode of this nonsense that we've been chatting, nonsense, no, I'm joking. Mate. Let's pick ourselves up. It's not nonsense.
Woke
it's good.
Nonsense is what it is, mate. Woke nonsense.
It is. But no, the Chronically Online, we're hoping to release lots of episodes. We're going to be talking about, like we said, memes, marketing, and nerdy stuff from the perspective of professional marketers. Yes. So social media marketers, wider marketers, digital marketers. If you are in that bubble and you want to learn more from our perspective, then please subscribe, follow, like the clips, whatever you want to do. But yeah, for the moment, my name is George and this is
James.
And we'll see you next time.
See you on the next one.